Hey everyone, I'm going to take a few minutes to show you Flipgrid, which is where students can record a video of themselves as response to a topic or an assignment. They can view each other's videos if you choose and you moderate it, and they can comment on each other's videos. Right now, this is a really great way to facilitate classroom discussions, which I love because scholars are able to still connect with each other via videos for weekly check-ins or exit tickets. So I'm going to take you into the class. I'm going to log in because I've used it before. If you haven't, you'll create your own. You'll be asked at first to make a grid. It's okay if you just give it a random naming convention the first time. You can delete that grid entirely. So right now I have an Equitas example grid, which is purely for this video. Once I'm done with this grid, I will literally just delete it. Then my important grids are Lit Comp Messiah, UCR, and Stony Brook. I use the same naming conventions from Google Classroom because this will help me stay organized. For now in this video, I'm going to show you really quick how to edit settings before we go into the actual grid. So these are my 4 grids like Google Classroom classes. However, only these 3 I'll actually use. After you create the grid and you've given it a flip code, which I would recommend not leaving it random, but leaving it into something that the scholars can remember so they can reference it later on. And then going in, I set it up for scholar email because if they're logged into Google Classroom, then they're accessing it via email anyway. You do not want it be public, and I think that's pretty self-explanatory. One thing that's really great for you as a teacher is to change the timing of when you get notifications. So right now I have these set up as weekly, but as we get farther into this and I don't have to moderate it as much, I can change it to every new video, weekly, or just never get notifications if I've got a time set up in my schedule to moderate Flipgrid. The rest of these are pretty self-explanatory. I'm actually going to turn downloading and sharing off because I see no reason that the scholars need that at this time. And once I'm done, I just update my grid. Once I'm into my actual grid, and this is not the grid I want to use as my example grid, like I said, I'm going to use my Equitas example grid. I've just created the flip code as my @ I'm going to delete this grid in a week or so anyway, so it doesn't matter what my naming convention is right now. This is just for teachers. So I can create, and one thing it will do first, I should actually say this, it will automatically create this Say Hello on Flipgrid for you. I didn't like it. I wanted to go into the Disco library and find one that was cuter. So I did that, and this one was actually from another teacher with a better introduction to Flipgrid and different timing. So I just hid that so that scholars wouldn't be able to see it, and it just made sure that it was gone. Some ideas I put on here was a space for scholars to give shout outs to one another, which I think would be a great way to facilitate, advisory times or times when we would shout out to scholars, and you can create your own video down at the bottom and record your own response. Another use of this would be weekly check-ins. One thing that's super awesome that you can facilitate, not only to create your image and your title and the directions for the scholars, but to then go down and edit when you want to schedule the video to start and stop. So what you could actually do, create one weekly check-in, and just like a Google form, how you can copy it and reuse it, you can actually copy this topic and reuse it every week. So you can schedule them out. So I've got this one where I'm going to test it out with my scholars before we start online learning. That way they've had a chance to do a check-in if they'd like, and I can see it. I've also allowed them to do selfies and videos. However, I have not allowed them to play with some of the tools because I want to use those for better times when I think it would actually facilitate learning. So once you've created a Flipgrid that's like your class, you'll have a flip code that you customize. Then we've gone through topics where scholars respond. For new topics, you have a title, time limit, prompt, and then your own video that you can upload to model. It's optional to use emojis, but it makes it really fun. You can share the entire grid, like what's on the screen, or you can share out just a specific topic. So let's say I don't want them to see everything I've got planned. I can go in and just share out the introduction to Flipgrid. So I could share that out for tomorrow. There's a share to classroom link. There's a QR code. One con about the QR code, I have a Google Pixel phone, So I can't take pictures of QR code to bring me to a link. However, students who have old iPhones or who have different tech might be able to. So just to stay on the safe side, I'm always going to share both, because if someone has technology or doesn't have technology, we want them all to be able to get and record on Flipgrid. So once you shared it out, scholars will be able to see that topic, or like I said, I'm going to be sharing out the entire class code just as I experiment with this and get used to it. You can also share it embedded in Google Classroom, which pushes it out, so all scholars are able to see it within a lesson, or you could integrate it into Peardeck. So a scholar is going to be able to use Flipgrid for a topic in general, like an exit ticket. So for example, if a scholar is at the end of a lesson, they can share facts for what they've learned. They can be specific for what exactly to share. For instance, you can give them a sentence stem for what they need to fill in. Julius Caesar, blank, blank, blank. The Odyssey is about a man who, blank, blank, blank. Another idea is to host virtual turning talks or even Socratic circles with Flipgrid, although I pushed that off for a little bit until we're all more comfortable, but I've included how to facilitate that into my follow-up learning page, so you can see that later on. And another great feature of this is to just facilitate student shoutouts. This is probably my favorite topic I've made so far because it's so simple, and this would be a great way to start or introduce scholars to Flipgrid. It really creates that sense of community. And you could either leave this open for all time and they can just continually be adding shoutouts like it's a bulletin board in the classroom, or you can create a new one each week. Again, all of this is up to you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm right here, and I've been experimenting with this for a while, so I feel pretty comfortable helping you guys. All right, you guys are doing well. Wish you all the best.